Imagine walking into a room full of people, each wearing a mask. Some are smiling, some are frowning, but none reveal their true faces. Now, imagine stepping into this world without a mask of your own, without deception, without pretense, without even the desire to manipulate those around you. How long do you think you would last? How quickly would you be dismissed as naive, foolish, or even weak? This is the tragic fate of Prince Myshkin, the protagonist of The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. He is a man of pure heart, unwavering honesty, and boundless compassion. Yet, rather than being admired for these qualities, he is ridiculed, manipulated, and ultimately broken by a society that cannot comprehend his goodness. But this is not just a story from 19th century Russia. It is a reflection of a painful truth about human nature that remains just as relevant today. Why do good people so often find themselves at a disadvantage in the world? Why does sincerity invite mockery rather than respect? And most importantly, if being good leads to suffering, is it still worth it? By the end of this discussion, you will have a completely new perspective on kindness, morality, and the hidden dangers of being too good in a world that rewards cunning. The final insight we will explore is the most shocking of all, and it will change the way you see not just the world, but yourself. To understand why goodness is often mistaken for foolishness, we must first look at what society truly values. We like to think that we admire honesty, kindness, and integrity. But do we really? Or do we simply tolerate these qualities when they do not interfere with our own interests? Throughout history, the people who rise to power are rarely those who are purely good. Instead, they are those who know how to navigate the complexities of human relationships, who understand when to be ruthless and when to be charming, who know how to hide their true intentions behind a carefully constructed persona. Niccolò Machiavelli, in The Prince, argued that a ruler must be willing to act immorally if necessary, because the world does not reward goodness, it rewards results. This is why Myshkin's fate is so tragic. He does not understand or refuses to accept the rules of the world he lives in. He does not know how to manipulate or deceive, nor does he want to. And because of this, he is viewed as an idiot, not because he lacks intelligence, but because his goodness makes him vulnerable in a society that thrives on competition and self-interest. Think about how this applies to the real world. How often do we see truly kind, honest people being taken advantage of? How often do we hear stories of good-hearted individuals who are betrayed by those they trust? How many times have we ourselves felt foolish for believing in the best in others, only to be disappointed? This is not to say that the world is entirely corrupt, but it is undeniable that a certain level of cunning is often necessary for survival. Even those who consider themselves good people must sometimes compromise their values in order to protect themselves. And yet, despite all of this, we still long for figures like Myshkin, people who are truly, unshakably good. But here's where things get even more interesting. Dostoevsky does not present Myshkin as a simple martyr. He does not just suffer. He also challenges those around him in ways they do not fully understand. His goodness, far from being passive, acts as a mirror, forcing others to confront their own flaws. This is what makes people so uncomfortable around him. He does not judge them, yet his very existence exposes their hypocrisy. His sincerity highlights their deception. His kindness makes their selfishness all the more obvious. And so, rather than being embraced, he is rejected. This brings us to a fundamental question. Is it Myshkin who is the fool, or is it the world around him that has lost its way? As we continue, we will dive deeper into this paradox and explore what it truly means to be good in a world that does not seem to value goodness. In the end, we will uncover the ultimate truth about kindness, one that might just change the way you see everything. What makes Myshkin's story so tragic is not just the suffering he endures, but the way he is perceived by those around him. He does not see himself as a fool. He believes in love, in honesty, in the goodness of human nature. And yet, the more he tries to bring light into the lives of others, the more they see him as an outsider, someone who does not belong in their world. But why? Why does true goodness so often create discomfort? To answer this, we must examine the way people interact with one another. Human relationships, whether personal or societal, are built on a delicate balance of power. Even in the most casual interactions, there is an unspoken negotiation happening beneath the surface. People carefully measure their words, choose their actions strategically, and adjust their behavior based on what they expect in return. It is a world of subtle manipulation, where even kindness is often given with an expectation of reciprocity. But Myshkin does not play this game. He gives without expecting anything in return. He speaks with complete honesty, without calculating how his words might be received. He forgives without holding resentment, even when others betray him repeatedly. In a world where everyone wears a mask, he is completely unguarded, and this is precisely why people do not trust him. Psychologists have long studied the concept of cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension that arises when we are confronted with information or behavior that contradicts our beliefs about ourselves. When Myshkin interacts with others, he forces them to confront their own moral contradictions. They may claim to value kindness, but when faced with true, unconditional goodness, they feel exposed. It makes them realize how far they have drifted from their own ideals. And rather than accepting this uncomfortable truth, they reject the person who reveals it to them. Consider how we often react to people who are exceptionally good. When we hear stories of selfless individuals who dedicate their lives to helping others, we admire them. But sometimes, we also feel a strange discomfort. We tell ourselves that they are different from us, that their level of selflessness is unrealistic, even impractical. We may even look for flaws in them, searching for evidence that they are not as pure as they seem. Why? Because accepting their goodness would mean questioning our own choices, our own compromises, our own moral justifications. This is exactly what happens to Myshkin. He becomes a symbol of something unattainable, an ideal that people admire in theory but reject in practice. His presence disrupts the social order, not through force, but simply by existing. Dostoevsky uses Myshkin to explore a deeper truth about human nature. We do not truly want perfect goodness in our lives. We think we do, but when faced with it, we find it overwhelming, even suffocating. Goodness without calculation, without boundaries, without the usual human flaws, is something that most people do not know how to handle. And because of this, instead of elevating the good person, society often isolates them. But does this mean that goodness is meaningless? That being a good person is a mistake? Here is where things become even more complex. Despite all the suffering he endures, Myshkin does not regret his kindness. He does not become bitter. He does not wish to change who he is. And in this, Dostoevsky offers us a profound insight. The value of goodness does not lie in how others perceive it, but in its inherent nature. True goodness does not need validation. It does not require admiration or reward. It exists not because the world appreciates it, but because it is the right way to be.